Hello, everybody. It's that college football guy here. Another video. Well, life took place yesterday and couldn't exactly get a video in, but today I'm going to do two. One is the final one of the Big 12 previews, which is going to be UCF, as well as a video that I've had some messages about me and heard a lot of people talking about the Pac-12. And a lot of stuff's been coming out about ESPN and whatnot, but I'm going to do a separate video after that, right after this one, and upload it. As I'm still here at the house, I'm not leaving the house here until about noon, so I only got about a 6-hour drive to get where I need to get, and I don't have to be there till 10 o'clock tomorrow anyway, so I've got plenty of time. So, first things first, let's get into this about UCF's 2023 schedule preview. As always, we go through the schedule preview here where we compare. Normally, it would be comparing non-conference games last season, this season, which one's tougher. Conference games last season, or the whole schedule last season, this season, which one's tougher. Fortunately, since they're moving from the American to Big 12, can't really compare schedules. They only have one common opponent. We'll get into that. And we'll see how it works this season. But first and foremost, let's get the housekeeping out the way, shall we? Everyone, please hit the like button. Smash that thumbs up. Change it up a little bit. It helps with the algorithm. It helps the video be seen by more people. Comment on the video. Let me know what you think about all this. And subscribe to the channel. Almost at 400 subscribers, slowly making the slow crawl up to 1,000. And if you subscribe to the channel, if you've done it already or you haven't, make sure to check the notifications bell. Make sure it's grayed out so you can subscribe to the channel. Let you know that I put up a video almost every single day. And it'll let you know when I do post one. So, shall we get into this? Okay. 2022 schedule for UCF. The American only had 8 conference games in their schedule. So we have 4 non-cons, and that's the 4 they start their season with. So we actually can compare non-conference games from last season and this season. We can do that. So, they're 4-3 because there's 9 games in the Big 12 schedule. The non-conference games last season were home against South Carolina State, home against Louisville, at FAU, which is Florida Atlantic, and home against Georgia Tech. 2 Power 5s, 1 Group of 5, 1 FCS. This season, they're home against Kent State, at Boise State, and home against Villanova. 2 Group of 5, 1 FCS. Not hard to understand why last season's non-conference schedule was tougher, but then again, considering what their conference schedule is, it's not that big of a surprise. Because last season, they played 2 non-conference opponents. 3 if you count the bowl game, 4 if you count their common opponent from last season and this season, which is Cincinnati. But they weren't a Power 5 opponent then. So they had 3 non-conference 3 Power 5 teams not counting the bowl game last season, and now they've got 9. So I think it'd be fair to say that even though last season's non-conference schedule was tougher, this season's overall schedule is a lot tougher for them. So let's go over first what the schedule is from last season. Home against South Carolina State, they blew them out 56-10. Home against Louisville, lost 20-14. It's kind of surprising that they kept it as close to it, because I figured Louisville was going to run away with it. At Florida Atlantic, 140-14. Okay. Home against Georgia Tech, 127-10. All right. Then it gets in their conference schedule from last season. Home against SMU, 141-19. Home against Temple, 170-13. Just beat the brakes off of them. At East Carolina, they lost 34-13. A lot of these teams seem to be overlooking East Carolina. They're a team that can really sneak up on you. Home against Cincinnati, 125-21. At Memphis, 135-28. At Tulane, 138-31. That was big, and it comes into play later. Home against Navy, lost 17-14. They beat Tulane on the road, having went on that high, and overlooked Navy at home and lost. Big loss. At USF, their in-state rival, they won 46-39. So they have a rematch against Tulane in the AAC Championship, the American Championship game, and lost to Tulane 45-28. Maybe Tulane looked lightly on them. Either way, they came and dropped the hammer. And then in the Military Bowl against Duke, they lost 30-13. So they finished their record. They had a run. They went 1-1, won 4 straight, lost a game, won 4 of their next 5, but then lost the next 5 in the regular season. But if you count the end of the season, they lost 3 of their last 4. So, kind of ending on a sour note for UCF. This season, they're home against Kent State. They're at Boise State. They're home against Villanova. They're at Kansas State. Home against Baylor. So Baylor travels to Orlando. At Kansas. Then they get the bye week. Then they got to travel to Norman to play Oklahoma. Oh boy. Home against West Virginia. West Virginia heads down south. Now they're at Cincinnati. You'll beat them by 25-21 at home, and now you got to play them on the road, and it's a Power 5 game, so it's a conference game. Again, same opponent. Home against Oklahoma State, at Texas Tech, and then home against Houston to finish the season. Needless to say, it's not hard to understand. The 2023 schedule is tougher. Can UCF win 9 games again? Can they beat Kent State? Yes. Could they beat Boise? Yes. Could they beat Villanova? Yes. Could they beat Cincinnati and Houston? Maybe. Beat West Virginia? Maybe. Beat Kansas? Maybe. But everybody else, I don't see 9 wins. I mean, I'm thinking it's to be bowl eligible with this schedule, even though it's not exactly the super toughest. It's a tough schedule. I mean, you look at their opponents from last season. You have Cincinnati, the top 5 toughest opponents they played were Louisville, East Carolina, Cincinnati, Tulane, Memphis. And that was their tough games last season. I put Louisville in there, and it's not a game they play, but it's a matchup, and 3 of those 5 games were on the road. And now you've got to face, instead of those teams, or you throw in Louisville as a tough opponent too. You want to throw Louisville, Georgia. I want to take Georgia Tech, but anyway, you got Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and Baylor. Those 5 alone tells me you're not winning 9 games again. It's going to take a lot because you're not going to get in with 7 wins to get into the conference championship game. There's just no way. So let me know down in the comments what you think about everything. So thanks everybody for watching the video. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Please be safe out there, and please be good to each other.